Welcome to 500 Doors, your real estate podcast. Alrighty. Welcome back to 500 Doors. Kim Hayden, your host. I am here with the amazing Alison, and we have a lot in common, and I think we're going to learn a lot today. Welcome to the show, Alison.
Hi, Kim. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We always just launch with give us a bit of background as to who is Alison. If you could be the 12th child with 12 toes, whatever it is, just bring us in, give us a little background because I find these origin story typically leads to why the success happens.
Yes. So I'm Alison Alston. I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up and got interested in real estate by watching my parents. They bought long-term rentals, they did vacation rentals, they did fix and flips. My dad was a builder. And so him and my mom just figured it out. And I got to participate in it myself and kind of got addicted. I always saw it as a part-time kind of hobby thing on the side you did. And so went into a career, my first career of fundraising for independent schools. I've always really had a soft spot for giving back. Education's very, very important. My parents stressed it from an early age. I went to private school for 8th through 12th grade and then college. My biggest fear when I decided to leave my career in fundraising and become a realtor full time was telling my parents because they had spent all of this money on my education. And thankfully, they looked at me and were like, it's about time. You never were meant to work for anybody else. So that's kind of how I got into this. My husband and I literally, I wrote out 10 cities and we went and visited and did long weekends. And we decided to move to Charlotte. We were living in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's a beautiful part of the country, but it's very expensive. And there's a lot about it that's just not real life enough for us. And so we decided to get out of the winters and the craziness, and we chose Charlotte, and we absolutely love it. I joined Lodestone Real Estate as an agent in 2017 when we moved here. And then 2 years later, I bought and took over the team, and I've been running it ever since. We're at eXp Realty, and we absolutely love it. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I love building and creating things. I run a few different companies at this point. And I think the fun fact that I love to share about Lodestone the most is that we are an all-female team.
Oh,
And we have a powerhouse group of women that are not just incredible salespeople, but we have a really, really tight knit community. So much so to the fact that I've had to restructure the entire team and force my agents to go on a max of 18-month stints on the team because I want them to be able to go out and build their own business and not just spend their life working for me. So Mama Bear is
amazing.
forcing them out of the nest.
I love that. That's a real I love that. I do some similar things with our technology around speakers and podcasters and things
Yes.
like that. And I think it's really important to empower people, to mentor people. And it's almost like it sounds as if this is almost like a finishing school
Ye-
for people to become profitable real estate agents. And that's the key.
Yes.
Profitable real estate agents. It's like any business,
Yes.
majority of businesses are not profitable. People just
No.
buy a job.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the thing is a lot of people get into real estate and they join a team and they're comfortable and they're happy there. But at the end of the day, I always think I didn't get into real estate so I could work for somebody else, right? I got into this and I joined under my team leader at the time because I thought she'd be a phenomenal person to train and teach me. And she was. And then 2 years later, we sat down and had the conversation of it was time for me to move on. For me, that meant taking over the team because she was headed in a different direction, coaching. But I want that same thing for my agents. I want them to have that excitement to get out there. So we've restructured the entire back end over the last 18 months to create multiple kind of stepping stone platforms now where they can retain the brand, but get out on their own. And I give a lot of credit to EXP for that because they showed me that there are multiple paths that an agent can take, right? It's truly a platform to run and build your business on. compared to the other brokerages that I've worked at, where it was like, just stay here and just keep doing things the same way and it'll be fine. And I was like, no, let's change things, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, behind every good brokerage, it are great agents. Like
Yes,
at the end of the day,
100%.
it's the boots on the ground in the
Yes.
community, shaking hands and kissing babies. Because the
Hmm.
reality is, and I think people miss this, real estate is much like a political position when
Oh,
you think about
100%.
it, because and for many people, it's maybe even more approachable or a better um, connector than even
Hmm.
their mayor, right? It becomes, oh, you know what? I'm just going to give Allison a shout. She will know somebody who can fix this carpet issue. She
Exactly.
will know where I should take my wife for dinner, right? And
Hmm.
I've gotten those. I mean, I have
Yeah.
a past client who is living in Hawaii and has a guest bedroom, and they texted
Ooh.
me out of the blue, and we sold their property in 2019.
Uh-huh.
But for some sort of tax something or other they're doing, they needed the exact date and they could not find the paperwork on it.
You're like, I've got you. No
I've
problem.
got you. I got you.
Yes.
So, get that to him. And by the way, I noticed you have a really nice spare bedroom. Is
I
that
can hand
booked for
deliver that. Would you like me
January?
to hand deliver that? Yes.
And what's even funnier is this is a couple
Uh-huh.
I met at a community event that I hosted that was in benefit of the food bank,
Yeah. It's
right?
important, right?
Yeah.
I think it is. People are like, "Oh, you're a realtor, you open doors." I'm like, "That's kind of the bare
No,
minimum,
yeah.
right? That's on the low end of what I do." There's so much more to it if you're doing it the right way, right? When you're doing it the right way, you're integrating all
Yep.
these different pieces. And we call ourselves, we're a lifestyle brand. We're not a real estate company, we're a lifestyle brand because I want to know what are your dreams and goals and how can I facilitate you getting there and reaching them through making smart investment decisions
Yep.
because your home is likely the largest financial investment you're going to make in your life, right? And then, yes, we're going to help you with the plumber and the renovations and everything. I love that part of my job. I love pulling in on what I learned from my parents and being able to walk in and be like, Kim, okay, no, this house looks terrible right now, but let me just paint you the picture, right? And
Yep.
then being able to tell them, here's an accurate estimate on what that would actually cost to get here. And here are the people who are going to go and do it, right? And then connecting that back
Yep.
and being able to give back. One of the things that I love, we've always done is we always donate part of our proceeds back to a charity of our choice. And it's always a local
Perfect.
one. So we really enjoy supporting different initiatives and different people because, we're all just kind of one step away from that.
I 110% agree. Um, HGTV is now, I believe, 32 years old. And pre
Wow.
HGTV, the butcher, the baker, and the real estate maker
Yep.
were the cornerstones of every community. These were the people who sponsored Little Timmy's,
Hmm.
soccer league. These are the
Yes.
people that, worked a booth at the local fall fair. These are the people that hosted the garage sales. And then I think we lost something in between the messaging, of get rich quick through real estate, the
Hmm.
flip or flop, the selling sunset movie stars. I think we lost the core purpose. We have an entire generation that
Hmm.
maybe don't realize what the real estate agent's role within a community is. I mean, they're literally building community,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, and I love the fact that you have true knowledge. I always tell people to buy ugly. I tell my I
Yes.
tell my son, marry a nice plain girl because she'll never leave you. And buy ugly but with solid bones because you can always
Yes.
dress it up.
Exactly. Yes. My husband and I were on our third house. Yeah, I've had to promise we're going to stay in this one for more than 2 years. Job hazard. I just tell him job hazard, not my fault.
Yeah.
But we bought a 1905 bungalow and we love it. I mean, maybe me more than him so much as far as the fixing up goes, but he loves it when it's done.
Yep.
And, it's something that to me, it's my passion project, right? It's something fun I get to do, to still be involved in doing these things and watching that transformation. And it's also something fun that selfishly I get to still do with my parents. My parents will come down every fall and winter to escape the winters in Jersey, and we do little projects. My dad's going to be down in a few weeks, and we're going to fix up the front porch. We our refrigerator died, and fun fact, they no longer make them the size of the opening. So my husband and I spent a few hours demoing, and we have a giant hole in our kitchen right now.
Yep.
But there's a beautiful refrigerator that is functioning in there. And so my dad's going to come down, and we're going to do some custom shelving and like rework it. And, I just love that stuff. And I think those are the memories
Yeah.
and experiences you just don't get in a new construction house.
Yeah. Yeah. I would absolutely agree that there's, so many opportunities out there and to leave your mark.
Yes.
That's what I love, is leaving your mark. So, what do you think is your unique selling position? So in real estate, if you're listening to this
Mhm.
and you're not in real estate or in sales or an entrepreneur, one of the things that you're going to hear is a USP. USP, what is your USP? And that means that it's something unique to you, because each person comes to things with a very different background. Like
Mhm.
Alison, you're coming to it from, you know, and I love the fact that you have a formal education, because that creates the business fundamentals, but
Mhm.
also that you have the trades, being
Yes.
raised in the trades. Um, these actually filter into why the passion and where the expertise comes in. So, what do you think is your unique selling position within your market?
So I think for me, right, when I started, I think originally it was that experience, right? Having that hands-on experience with houses with my parents, understanding the value in an investment, what gets you that return, and having lived through that firsthand. I think that was huge because for my clients, I'm able to walk through a house and say, okay, Kim, I can tell you right now, here are some potential red flags. And these are all things that can be fixed, but some of these are going to be more costly than others. We might need to have a conversation with the sellers before we move forward with that offer. Let's protect some of that money. And so originally, I think that was really what my selling point was. Now that I'm 7 years in, I'm at a different place in my career. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune last year,
Wow.
and I had to pivot a lot of my life, and I had to look at I was working insane hours, 80 to 100 hours a week, just grinding away. And as you know, real estate's 7 days. It
Yeah.
is 24/7.
Yeah.
And I
Especially
realized
when you're on the listing side. If you're on the listing side, your listing doesn't
it's
go to sleep on the
constant.
weekend,
No,
right?
right? It's constant. And don't get me wrong, I don't regret a second of it because it got me to be the number one agent in North Carolina. It far exceeded my dreams of what I could ever build with this business in a very short period of time, but it also almost killed me. And so for me, it was kind of this turning point where I said, okay, I've got to take a step back and I've got to put that business owner's hat to the side for a second. And I've got to look personally at what are my goals? What's my why? And how did I get off track? And I realized I kept trying to hit all of these goals that people are telling me, well, you've made it when, right? And then I was like, well, but I did that. All right. So what's next? And it was never going to be enough. And I was like, so I can either keep going and I'm going to end up literally killing myself, or I can rebuild and look at what do I have to bring to the table to help people. And for me, it is exactly that. It's that business background. I watched my parents run and operate their own businesses. I know the ins and outs from working with them. And now, having run my own for 7 years, I've learned a lot of stuff, sometimes the hard way. Most of the time, not, thankfully, but sometimes the hard way. And so it's one of the things that I love now is not just bringing that to the table to work with clients and talking through investment decisions and having those bigger financial conversations. I pull in a financial advisor as often as I can with clients because I want to sit down
Brilliant.
and talk about the whole thing, not just what the lender said you're approved for. How does this fit within your lifestyle? And do we really need to spend up to that amount, right? People think I'm crazy because I literally don't do a lot of listing business because I convince my clients not to sell their homes. I'm like, let's look at this and see if you can't hold on to this and turn this into an
Exactly.
investment property,
Exactly.
right?
I've you know what? Same thing. I would say 30% of all the listing evaluations I went to did
Yeah.
not end up selling,
Yeah.
did not end up listing. um, because you can get umbrella mortgages. They can do multiple
So much
things.
you can do.
And I said, you know what? Your kids are 3 and 5. You're moving because you need an extra bedroom. But if you can keep this little townhome, that is your kids' university education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I think
I
that's
get
my
it.
kind of unique selling position at this point is just being able to know the entire picture. My husband was a financial advisor for over a decade, so I learned a lot from him, more than I probably wanted to know, if I'm being honest. But I learned a lot, and so I'm able to take that. I'm able to take my experience with physical homes and whether or not it's solid bones and a good investment. I'm able to take the research that I've learned how to do through years of doing statistical analysis and research in college for a practicum for a degree that I didn't end up using, but that's all right. I'm using parts of it, right?
Yep.
But so taking all of that stuff and bringing it together and being able to sit down and have a fully informed conversation with a client, that is what I think sets me apart. I'm not just trying to get them moving forward and into the next house. I'm like, let's talk about your situation. And again, what are your goals financially, right? Lifestyle wise, and how do we get you there? I share with people when my husband and I moved here, we lived in my version of suburban hell. I wanted to cry because we went from being able to walk to everything to I had to drive 15 to 20 minutes everywhere. And as you know, when you're a realtor, you spend all day in your car. So
Oh
the
yeah.
last thing I wanted to do was come home and get back in my car to go out and have a social life. And so we made conscious decisions to buy a house in a slightly closer in suburb. It was the worst house in the neighborhood. People were lined up and running out the door. And I was like, this is it. This is her, right? And I'm pretty sure my in laws thought I was absolutely out of my mind the first time they walked in. Thankfully, everybody trusted in it and we saw it through and they were like, wow, this is incredible what we can do, right? But we were able to take that, flip it for phenomenal profit, roll it into the next one a little closer into where we wanted to be and roll it into the one we're in now, which is where our dream lifestyle is. And so I share that experience with my clients of like, we can get you there, right? And here's what that looks like. And so I think that's what makes me a little bit different is having that personal experience, but also taking the time to educate them. And they may end up telling me I'm crazy and there's no way they want to do it.
Or their husbands run
You
you
know?
out with a
Yeah,
pitchfork. I'm not doing
exactly.
all of
Right.
that. Yes.
But at
Yeah,
the
I
end of
get
the
that.
day, you can go to sleep because I did everything I could to give them all of their opportunities. It was their decision. And I'm going to support that, whatever it is, even if it may not be the one that I would choose. Right.
You know what? And I think again, that's why um, in real estate, the beauty of real estate is there is somebody for someone, right?
Yes.
Everybody can find somebody. And
Yes.
I'm a firm believer there's more than enough business to go around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
when we talk about community, and I've heard you say the
Mhm.
word community several times, what
Mhm.
does the word community mean to you?
It's really important to me. It is something that I learned growing up from watching my parents and how they handled, their interactions with the neighbors, with the local businesses, with their own employees. My mom was a huge proponent and pushed me and my sister to get involved in nonprofit work. And that's something that I've always carried with me. It was my first career. And it's something that's always been really critical to me. I think as a realtor, like you said, we are that cornerstone of the community. And we're expected to have knowledge in so many different areas. And many of those areas are well beyond the reach of buying and selling a house, right? Or investing in one. And so I want to make sure I know who are these people in my community? What are they struggling with? What can I do to help them? One of my favorite stories is a lovely couple. My husband and I met. We go to the local farmers market every Saturday. It's a few blocks from our house. And we now have friends with these local vendors. And I know all of them very, very well at this point. And they're hilarious because if we're even 15 minutes late, they're like, where were you? We're wondering. But there was a phenomenal couple and they had this great little Italian market stand. And it was near and dear to my heart because my mother's Italian and we grew up, eating scratch made pastas and sauces and everything. And they were really working their butts off to try and keep expanding. And they shared with me the one day that, one of their dreams was to eventually open a restaurant. Well, I hosted a TV show for a little bit and I had the opportunity to feature them on it, and it helped get some more traction for them. And then that led to more traction and more interviews. And so through these community engagements and connections, they now opened their first restaurant.
And
And
what and what's the
it's
name? What's
doing
the
it.
name of this
Mano
restaurant?
Bella,
Mano Bella. In
Mano Bella.
Matt. Okay,
Oh,
spell that out. Spell it out.
Mano Bella. It means
Mano.
beautiful hand.
Ooh, so the hand that feeds you. They say the from the prayers, bless this food and the hands that made it.
Yeah,
So
I
there's an
mean,
old prayer around that. That's
yes.
very cool.
So
That's
it's
very
just,
cool.
to me, it's like these people that you meet, the stories that you learn, there's so much more behind people. And I think one of the things that I promised myself, having grown up in the Northeast, come to school down south, then gone back up there and come back. When we came back, I promised myself I was going to do more to engage because in the Northeast, we were on such a breakneck pace that there was
Yep,
no time for that. Right. And you
yep.
had your little circle of people, and that was it. And so I came down here and I'm like, I want to get to know them. I think it drives some of the people in my family nuts because it's like a 14-hour grocery store trip some days. But, you know, I
Honest
know
I
the
it got to
people
the point
behind
where
the counter.
nobody would go to the grocery store with me. So,
Yes, right?
I am that gal. So I
Yeah.
get it. I get it.
It's
What
just,
what would be your advice to other real estate agents? If somebody listening is in their first 36 months, which we know that 36 months is the
the
cutoff
hardest.
date for 87% of all agents who get their license, what would be one thing that you would advise them to do?
Find a phenomenal mentor. Don't try and do it yourself. I think a lot of agents get in and they're like, I've got this, right? I've got the drive, I've got the motivation, I'll figure it out. There are so many phenomenal agents that have been very successful who are incredibly accessible. It's one of the things I love the most about the people I work with is we give people access to us all the time.
Yeah.
Reach out and get a great mentor. Find somebody you feel like you can connect with and go deep with them because that is going to make all the difference in the world. I am a very driven person. I don't think anybody would ever argue otherwise with me, but it would have taken me twice as long to get where I am if I hadn't have had that great mentor to start me in the right direction and to hold me accountable and kind of pull me back in when I started going after those shiny objects that we all do,
Mhm.
right?
And it's even harder nowadays.
It
I was
is.
licensed back in '99, and we were sitting at the coffee shop at 11 o'clock at night with the paper, and we got a
Yes.
book every Monday. So like
Yep.
that's how old I go back.
Hey, I
Um,
remember going with my parents to the office and the realtor opening a cabinet, just like at the car dealer, and grabbing keys. And if the key wasn't there
mhm,
because somebody else had it out, you had to wait and go. And I was like, this makes no sense, right?
yep.
But in some ways, I wish we could go back there because I think it's gotten so frenetic and there's so many things you
And
need to
so many agents
do.
don't even meet each other.
No.
Everything is done, yeah, and that's something that, like, my son and we make sure. I don't care if everything is, direct deposit, this and that.
Yeah.
At some point in time, you have
We're
to
going
meet
to
the
meet.
other agent. We all came
Exactly.
together. It's a respect thing. This is our community.
Yes.
We have to put the face to the name,
Yes.
to the voice, to the text, right? So,
And
oh,
I mean, there's so many, but there's very few that are really doing most of the business. And so you're interacting with the same people over and over. If you
yeah,
don't have those relationships, what could be a relatively easy situation to navigate becomes a disaster.
yeah, yeah. Allison, you are an absolute rock star. I can tell that you've
Thank you.
had great mentorship all throughout, and the fact that you're paying it forward
Yeah.
is awesome. It's awesome, and that's everything. Is if you're out there listening or watching this, and you're sitting here going, I'm gonna get it all structured. I'm starting up. I absolutely agree. Get a good mentor and research the triple bottom line.
Mhm.
Research the triple bottom line. Every action you do needs to feed three things. One, it needs to feed your CRM 2, it needs to feed your local community. And 3, it must pay forward. If you can
Yes.
find systems and outreaches and connections and ways to do that, I guarantee you, you'll crush the 36 months and you'll build a legacy business that you can pass on to your next generation. I just like my son coming into real estate
I love
now.
that.
You know, I'm ready to pass the baton because you can't do effective real estate sitting on a beach working from your computer in January. And I am done with shoveling the walks, folks.
I mean, you've got a guest space in Hawaii, so I would be
I
there.
know, I know. I'm so excited. It was such a nice room, and it's a twin bed. It's like only room for me.
Just me. It's perfect. I'm coming.
Not my husband, no kids. Just me.
I love it.
Allison,
I
I
love
can't
it.
thank you enough for sharing your time, your insight, your advice, and it's Mano Bella? No,
Mano Bella, yes.
Mano Bella. Mano
It's
Bella
in
in
South Park.
Charlotte.
Go check it out. They're amazing. And Kim, the thanks is all mine. I appreciate you having me on here and give me the opportunity to interact with you and your audience. So thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, folks, do good, be the change. That's all we're asking. If you're the agent in your community or looking away to be the change, listen to what Allison's got to say. Start at the root level, go in, dig deep, and serve those people who want to open up their own Italian restaurant, or the couple that's just starting out. Help them find a way to build legacy. In today's real estate environment, it is still possible. It may not be easy like it was 6 years ago, but it is absolutely viable. Real estate has made more millionaires and created more legacy than any other industry out there, and we get the pleasure and the honor of being the key keepers for it. So
Yes.
go do good, be the change. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share.